listening. All right, everybody, thank you for coming to the third annual FSK Day. This is our first panel of the day. I'm Mike Watson. I'm the owner of Freestyle Comics, the public of Short Fuse Media. Also, one half of the good, the bad, and the nerdy. The most enthusiastic person in comics, and the Superman brother. Over here we have Danny Cooper, editor-in-chief of Freestyle Comics, holding down the fort, leading the way. Also the head letterer at FSK, and a constant confidant for me in talking about making comic books and things like that. We have a couple different panels for today. We're also streaming live. Vigilance flew in today to come down here to be a part of the show. Very glad she's here with us. Veronica Smith is also here. Head colors FSK. She'll be up here for a panel later on with D. Coop. That's not what I'm supposed to be showing. There it goes. That's supposed to be up there. All right, so my panel is going to be talking about pretty much the future of storytelling with FSK. We moved some things around, we put some people in different places. So just for the world to know, Danny Cooper is going to be taking over writing for Heroes International, starting with issue 5 or 6? 4. Oh, see, that's where we're at. All right, so Danny Cooper's taking over his writing for Heroes International #4, and he has a very interesting story arc that he's going to be doing with that, where we are putting Heroes International at. We're going to begin the training for Heroes International, kind of putting them on their feet, because as you know, Heroes International is our premier superhero team. They're just like the Justice League and Avengers, except they suck. They're the worst team put together. EHD has finally decided that if we're going to have this team represent and fund us with Vigilance on it, we need to get this team trained. And Danny has come up with an amazing idea for where they're going to go after they get established. They're going to get matching uniforms. They're going to get a base of operations. They're going to be connected. But you want to give an elevator pitch for where you're planning to take Heroes on their next venture.
Oh, geez. You know, right now, issue 3 started with a 3-part story arc called Back to Basics. So we're going to, as we wrap that up, that is the main focus of taking it back to basics, making them a team, training them, making sure they're not always the team that sucks. But the world of villainy, it doesn't stop at that point, so they have to continue to be heroes. And we're going to put them through the ringer, make them earn that right.
And what are the highlights of Heroes International is, we don't really see a team actually become grounded. We don't actually see a team come together and see their mistakes. Like, even when we got the Avengers and MCU, they still gelled together. Like, they've been working together for years when that first movie came out. So we're actually going to show you with issue 1, 2, and 3, and so forth and so on. We're showing you how these characters actually become a team, what it takes to learn to be a hero, and things like that. Todd, do you have any questions up on our Facebook Live feed?
Not yet.
Okay, all right, cool beans.
Which page is it live on?
My personal page. All right. Awesome. All right, so the image that I have up here is kind of just our big poster image to show you the variety and diversity that we have at FSK. We believe anyone can be epic, no matter your size, shape, or color. None of that matters. All that matters is that we have characters that you can relate to that have superpowers and are going on these epic journeys. The journey of their superpowers is just as important as the journey of their real life. From left to right here, no, if you can see it, let me see it. That's Human. He's one of my favorite characters. Ren McKenzie hates him. We'll get into that later on. That's J-Fab. She was introduced in the Cypher. Of course, we have Vigilance. Everyone's favorite blue guy, Hotshot. Ad-Lib. Iron Smith. Todd and Dave from the Base in the Doom. Who's also in the building right now.
I'm here.
Titan, she's a member of Heroes International. And Marky from Emerald Quest. Emerald Quest is the one book that is supremely different from all the rest of our books. We have 4 superhero titles. We are also going to be expanding our superhero roster. But Emerald Quest is our first fantasy book. And the only peek I'm going to give to you guys in that is saying that Emerald Quest is definitely a part of the Hot Shot verse. We just have not revealed the way yet. We're about 3 issues done and complete on that book. We're just doing our Kickstarter to promote it, so we're waiting to do that. We do a big promotion for each book that we come out with. All right, so now, we did Heroes International, Emerald Quest. New issue of Cypher is going to be dropping. It's going to have a brand new issue of Breaks from the Doom, and it's going to be featuring another one of our characters, the Wolf. We'll be getting a new issue of that, which is already drawn in ink. We need to get that colored in letter, which that will be handled by our internship, which we'll get ready to start at CCAD in November. So every year we go to CCAD. Every year we go to CCAD to try to recruit interns to help us work on the books. And the main book they work on is The Cypher. Vigilance. You want to tell us about Vigilance number 4? We have on there. And we'll go with that.
Yeah, we've got Stephanie Menard has come on to take over the writing duties on Vigilance. She's completely finished issue 4, having very good story arc here. It's a 3-part story arc. We start to see and learn who Vigilance is outside of that costume. I think that kind of covers that. Really, that's going to be the big thing, is her outside the costume. We get to know her as a person and not just the superhero.
So just to touch on a little bit, I think we're going to actually, well, not think we are, we're going to actually develop Vigilance's alter ego outside of that costume, who she is outside of the cape, who she's going to be, and what she means to this world and how she exists. All right, so last but not least, Hot Shot, flagship title. Young man in college trying to prove his girlfriend is not cheating on her without revealing the superhero and not get kicked out of college because he's never there because he's a superhero. Hot Shot's 10 issues in, 0 through 9. Technically, this will be the 11th issue, but we're going to do 3 cover reveals. 1 cover completely done, 1 cover that needs editorial changes, and the 3rd cover that is actually in process. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of that. The new story arc for Hot Shot is called Unforgiven. And this is going to be a story that looks back at Hot Shot's past, and we're going to be asking the question of what does it take to be a superhero? And the way we're going to be doing that is we're not asking it just in the way that it's normally is asked. Have you ever been in a situation where you were so scared you couldn't move, like you couldn't help or do anything, even though you wanted to? Maybe you saw something, and instead of running in to help, you turned away from it. And let's say that you got a little bit older, you got a little bit stronger, you got more confidence in yourself, and a scenario happened, and you dove right in. These are the kind of questions that are going to be asked of Hot Shot, and what it means to be a hero. Are you a hero with or without powers? Will you still be a hero if you didn't have the powers, and things like that. But sneak peek into the cover for the 11th issue of Hot Shot. This one was completely created in the iPad, drawn, inked, colored by me, and watching a ton of My Hero Academia. This book is going to be full of action. It's going to be the setup. Towards the end of it, it's going to take a terrible time, and it's not going to be good for Hot Shot. So this will not be your typical action-packed issue for me. Next up, this is how it looks with all the covers and stuff. I'm very excited about getting this 10th issue out, technically 11th issue, because we're going to have a comic book that says we have 10 issues. And that just looks good. Makes me feel real good. The Unforgiven is going to be part 1 of 4. Oh, she froze up a little bit. There she goes. And I'm going to show you the cover for issue 12. Now, this cover is to elude a little bit of mystery of what's going on with this issue. Again, we're delving deep into. I'm not going to start this off that. We're delving deep into Hot Shot's past and what is really making him cook as a superhero. There we go. This is actually part 3. The part 2 cover is something in process, which I started on, and Veronica very quickly put some colors on there and made it shine. So we're gonna go check that out. Been doing this stuff in Procreate. So first off, this is what I did. And then Veronica said, give me that iPad real quick, Mike. And then this is what she did. Freaking incredible. What we wanted to capture here in this moment is tragedy. In this book, I will tell you, you are going to see a hero film. There's not going to be a save here. And it's going to be how Hotshot has to deal with that and move forward with it.
So we got a question from our audience here. Todd Dave asked, when will Hotshot cross over with Facebook Doom? And there actually is an answer. A little tease of that. With we allude to it in the new issue of Basement of Doom in Cypher, but we're gonna get our first appearance of it with the series that Veronica is working on, The New Adventures of Hotshot and Friends. That's all I'm gonna give you.
I think she's got about like 4 strips done for that already. And then I know we have talked about doing some variants for a special event that the Basement of Doom and Todd Powell are going to be doing. So we're going to get that too. But we're starting, so we're all building up to this big thing that's going to happen in issue 25 of Hotshot. Victor Dandridge gave me this crazy idea, which I started working on this past week, which is I'm going to draw all the covers of issue 25. We're going to do kind of almost how Diamond previews all the books or the first 3 books of the story arc or whatever. We're going to show you all the covers of issue 25, up to issue 25. And then that is going to not only respond to some certain people online that said some stuff, but also hold us accountable for getting these issues out. We haven't come out with a lot of books. Only new issues that we came out with this year so far is the Swords book and Heroes International 3. And that's because we've been planning and plotting. Running comic books, I don't know if you know this or not, it is hard. It is not anywhere as easy as it was back in 6th grade when I used to do it with my friend Tom. It's a complicated machine, and FSK is constantly trying to figure out the best way to do it. Luckily for us, we are partnered and teamed up with some amazingly talented and patient and energizing people. Hey, Veronica Smith. Shout out, because she's here. She's awesome. Along with Mike Lancet, Danny Cooper, Gary Mitchell, Victor Dandridge, who he's still part of FSK. I know he's gone off. He's done Vantage In-House Productions. He's done 8-Bits. He's done You Create. But Vic is still part of FSK. He gets involved in some of the story writing that we get down with, things like that. Right now, I want to show you guys the process of making cover 11 in a time-lapse replay. The cool thing about the iPad is just how much freedom it gives you to sketch and work out different ideas and concepts. And I actually looked at a scene from the new Firefighter anime where the dude has rocket feet or whatever. That cartoon is crazy. But a lot of explosive energy, which is what I wanted to capture for this cover. I started off drawing it off with a pencil, technical blue pencil. The Apple pen is wonderful in replicating all that stuff, or imitating rather. Right now I'm inking it with blacks. Trying to play around with the effect of the fire, figuring out how I want that. Laying down the colors. Pick the purple tone to go correlate with the blue to simulate shadow on Hotshot's face, dropping down that value. And this is over the course of like 10 layers, 10 different layers that I'm manipulating and moving out here. And this is my favorite tool here, the light pencil. It's literally writing with light. Add a couple explosions, some highlights around Hotshot, so that energy's replicating off of there. What do we call this perspective that we're drawing the building in? Yeah, curve perspective.
McDaniel used to use it a lot on night.
Oh yeah. So, and that's the process from beginning to end of making that cover. Then I flattened it, sent it to my computer, and added all the text up there on Photoshop, and we get that finished cover. So right here we have closer up view. I printed them out. of both those colors. If you guys want to pass those around, you can look at them. Also, did I download them? Let's see if they work. Also, we have a brand new character that's going to be coming to Freestyle Comics. Give me a second here. Where is it? There we go. All right, so we have a new character coming in, and that character actually be making their first appearance in Vigilance number 4, and then she'll be moving on to her book being in the Cipher. And that character is Alyssa. And this is a brand new character created by Alyssa Sanchez on our Facebook page. I met her through our Kickstarter, and she donated a nice little chunk of change to our Vigilance Kickstarter. She said she loved the character. Then she got a custom character cover with Alyssa and Vigilance on it. I was like, man, this character's cool. So I kept looking at her page, and I'm looking at what she's doing, and like, Alyssa has a ton of fan art of this character already. And this would be, for the record, the first new character out that wasn't created by in-house from Freestyle Comics that we're bringing in with this character. I just thought this character was phenomenal. She has 2 dragon tattoos, one dragon for fire, one dragon for water, and she has 2 katanas. And she's badass. And we are working on, or Alyssa's working on that story right now. She has been thoroughly, like, super working on that story very hard. And she will make her first appearance in Vigilance number 4. And then she'll be moving over to our Cipher title. As you know, or if some of you don't, Cipher is our book where we introduce brand new characters, where we get to showcase multiple different characters to the world of Freestyle Comics, all leading up to Zero Event Emergence. Now, probably a little later, after Danny and Veronica's panel, I will be giving you an inside look at some of the books we have done, namely Zero Event number 1, that was written by Victor Dandridge, beautifully drawn by Mike Lancet. That boy makes me upset with how good he did on this book. But pretty much one of the biggest questions, top 3 questions asked about the books are, where did Hotshot get his powers from? What's going on with Vigilance? And what's the Zero Event? And if you pay attention to the Zero Event number 1, we're going to answer all those questions in that series. It's going to be a mini-series, 3 parts, and we're going to be probably pegging with a lot more questions. So, unless anyone has any questions to ask us about what we have up and coming, no? All right, that's no problem. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this panel up. I'm going to set it up for Danny and Veronica. They're going to be talking to you guys about how we make comics at FSK. And outside of a couple other people, I wouldn't want to make comics with anybody else but Veronica and Danny. We are in constant communication with each other. I think we're at a point to where we don't even have to tell each other things. We just pick up where the other person leaves off, and we just know where we need to fill things in for one another. I remember, like, on Hero International 2, I think Veronica was, like, working on some pages, fixing colors and edits in Photoshop, and then I was redrawing some stuff that was missing from it while Danny was correcting letters and flipping panels on the direction. We were all attacking issue 2 of that book just to make sure we were putting out the best product. So thank you for your time. I'm going to let Veronica come up here with D. Cooper. No, we can. So,
Any issue in particular?
well, I got to look at the G stuff.
Oh, so good.
So you got just got to right. If you double tap it, you'll zoom in. Like to come back. So there's color. Yep, just walk through beginning to end.
Go ahead and start, or do you want to end the live feed? Keep going? What?
No, keep going.
Okay. All right. So we are going to cover kind of how we produce comics here at FSK. Starting, we're going to really go through Vigilance number 3 and what that process looks like. I've had the pleasure of working on different books with FSK, being in a position where I've come in after production has already started, to being at the very beginning where we're working on the pitch for that script. So Vigilance 3 is one of the books that I actually was able to work on from the very beginning, starting with the script. And we prefer to do our work in Google Docs?
Drive.
Google Drive, there we go. All right. The nice thing about that is it allows us to go in and we can all work in that and make comments and go in and type on the section and ask questions. It makes it a lot easier for us to work with the writer, also work with the editorial team, have Mike weigh in on things, and then we'll have Veronica come through and she'll do a review of it. And I think we have a good example here. You can see here, this is just an example of one of the scripts where we've come in and we've made notes, we've asked questions, things like that, that we want to go over in the script that we talked about. Got a couple pages like that. Things in here where we talk about, so specifically with Vigilance number 3, we had a very, very specific story that we wanted to tell. So we started with the initial script and we were faced with, we're going to have to make some edits and changes to that script and make sure that we're hitting some of the key notes that we want to hit. So anyone that's read Vigilance issue 3 or Hot Shot issue 4 and 5, you'll know that there were specific moments that we needed to make sure that we hit in there. So we came through and we called what we called as the phantom edit. So we came through and started kind of looking at what we have, chopping things up, making adjustments where we needed to. So we've got let's see here. In this one here specifically, you can see we've got notes for Mike here where we panel 1 and 2 is the same. Remove panel 3 and 4, replace with 6 and 7. So we're going through and making changes to that script, moving things in, and also making sure that we're kind of paying respect to the continuity that's already been outlaid for us in issues 4 and 5. Hotshot. Once we get to a point where we have an approved script and we've kind of all gone through it and we're like, I think we're good to move forward with our layouts. We'll move forward with the artists and they'll start working on the thumbnails. Some artists have different approaches. Some will do full-out thumbnails. Mike likes to work with very small thumbnails and lay out all the pages together. Specifically, Eder Messiah was our artist for this issue. And Eder works on a little bit tighter on his layouts and thumbnails. You can see here, he's got quite a bit of detail in these, but this works well for him. So as we make edits to the thumbnails to coincide with the script, there's a lot of work for him to do. He can go right over top of this and start working on these. So typically, we go script, then we move on to the thumbnails. We'll review these with the script, making sure that this works well with what we have established. Also making sure that we allow our artists to have that opportunity to be storytellers and be creative on their end as well. A few more examples of Eder's thumbnails. So you can see here, again, we mentioned kind of a throwback to Hot Shot. If you look here, the very opening page of Hot Shot number 3, we wanted to pay tribute to that. So that was some of the creative direction. We want to make sure that issue 3 of Vigilance starts with something very similar to what we have with Hot Shot number 3. A lot of symbolism going on in this specific issue. So what Eder gives us, and he did a fantastic job with this is the proposed page 1 layout that he gave us. Did a fantastic job. Again, it's very similar to what we have with Hot Shot issue 3, but also very different, very unique, and stands on its own as well. Once we've approved script, once we've approved the thumbnails and layouts, we move into the actual pencils. And again, Eder specifically as an artist, he likes to go with a lot more detail on his layout. So his pencils, it's a lot easier for him to come in and work on his pencils. He did a fantastic job drawing Vigilance during the fight with Void, and really making Void, I think, capturing the menacing and power that Void brings to this issue. Same thing here, some very great moments in the action. Mike, do we have the original of this page?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Okay, so sometimes we can't really show it here, but we'll go through and we'll actually get to where we have the pencils pages, finished, and we start looking at it, and it's like, maybe it'd be better if we actually change this up a bit. So this is the actual final page. Originally, the way this was drawn, you could actually see the guy here in panel 2. You could actually see him shooting the child. Mike went through and actually used, his Photoshop. The Photoshop viewer here went in and made changes, cut that out, and made it more, a little less graphic, I would say. and just kind of implies that something happens to the child. Going through and taking things out, adding things to the panel, and whatnot. Here, I believe we actually added ricochets and gunshots to the final panel to capture that. Once pencils are finished, we'll move on to inks. Now, Eder will go, he actually inks his own work. Once he's done, then we're moving on over to Veronica. And I gotta say, coming from this page, we wanted the beginning of Vigilance 3 to be very dream sequence-like, very heavy. We use a lot of specific colors for a reason. The palette was very specific. And then, we get something amazing like this, where Veronica comes in, she's adding not just coloring the page, but if you look here, we've got, Vigilance's arm underwater, where previously, that wasn't there. So if we look at what we had, we've got the arm submerged in water, but we want this, it's liquid. It's not solid, you can see through it, it's translucent. So Veronica came through, part of the role of the associate editor is realizing that we need to add some stuff to this. We need to make sure that we're capturing everything. And I think that this is the first page of Vigilance issue 3 that just set the tone for where we went with it. So do you have anything in your approach as coloring this page and what you wanted to capture?
Whenever I tackle colors, I always like to have the script with me so I know exactly what's supposed to be there, and then it also helps me set the tone. Like, well, if I make sky blue, it's going to be different. It's going to set a different mood, whether it's like day or if it's sunset or whatever the hue that I make is going to affect how you see it, and then how you kind of feel when you look at it. Certain colors,
that money that
feel a certain
so I
way.
can get a prize.
So I try to use those, or at least think about that while I'm planning college to help you feel what you're supposed to feel.
I think, this is another good example of that, where in, the background, it has this feeling like, there's, if you've read this, you know that void has been destroying downtown Columbus. And seeing this, you can tell that there's, what looks like the city might be burning in the background with that tone. It looks it's not very bright, sunny, and happy. You get that emotion of how things are going. You see here in Vigilance's eyes, we see that purple color. Again, a very specific color palette as we get into this issue. We want to make sure that this shade purple is significant to what Vigilance is going through, and we'll see it play out more as we go on with Vigilance. I'll just kind of make a note here where things connect. We've got these glowing purple eyes on Vigilance, but we also have these glowing purple eyes on Void. Maybe they're linked, maybe they're not, but everything's kind of done for a reason, and there's a purpose behind it. Just to go back to this, I think this was a fantastic page. It really set the tone for the beginning of this issue, and just what to expect as you go through it. One of the unique things we had to do, again, if you've read issue 3 of Vigilance, you understand that it's the continuation of the story arc. Vigilance is telling a story of things that happened from her perspective. So, again, we sit down, we read through, we come to a decision that, to make sure that the reader can tell where we are, we get to a point where we decide we've got to change. So if she's telling something in a flashback, we've got to make it easier for us to be able to see that without always adding like a text box that says, that is leading the reader. So we do that by taking, some of the original colors and having to go in and actually mute those colors, so that as you read through the book, it worked well for us to know that, okay, so these pages with the muted colors, this is a flashback. This is her narrating that. And we capture that with the colors, and we try to maintain the tone that we originally said, but we also allow our text box to kind of provide that and help lead the reader along with that. A few more of the pages that Veronica colored. Again, we see that same that purple color coming through. Trying to, I think this page has broken up very well to where we have Vigilance is telling the story of this dream sequence, and then we get to the final panel, completely different tone, completely different feeling here, where we're in the office. You notice that it's very soft. It's not abrasive, and I think it changes the setting very well all within one page. We're not telling the reader that we're changing location, but we're clearly showing that in the page.
That was all Veronica on that last,
Oh,
that last panel. There was in the script, it said nothing about lighting or anything, and that light that she has coming from the window is fantastic, and it's such a subtle thing,
Well,
but that's so
yellow
much.
being an opposite in the color from purple, because it's kind of flips it visually from where she was to.
Absolutely. And to the editor's credit here as well, we always talk about the writer being the storyteller of the comics, but there's the artist is also a storyteller, making sure that the telling is very specific story. We've got a lot of emotion in these first four. Very gasping and drowning and leaping down the water. A lot of emotion on the face of these characters, and then you get to this almost like very just very closed in, this body language on Vigilance in this next story or this next panel, and that storytelling doesn't just go to the writer and the artist. It comes in with the colors, the mood, and the tone that Veronica's given us here. Here's another example of the page in colors. There we go. Again, you can see that ongoing moment of her, that story we're telling when she gets to a certain point of her powers. You see that same tone and theme of the color that they're using coming out here. Same thing again here. Once again, we're using that same ongoing theme of that color. It's reoccurring. We've seen this in previous issues. We saw this in, done in Hot Shot. We're seeing it again here in Vigilance. So, again, the continuity of not just the moments and how they occurred and how they played out in Hot Shot, and now we're also going to tell that story in Vigilance, but also trying to be consistent in our approach, and how the costumes look and how we're demonstrating the powers of the characters. Once the colors are all finished, we'll go through, we'll do edits on that, make any necessary changes that we need to make. Then it's going to move on to me for the letters. So again, we go from this page. Do we have the layouts that you did for this specific page?
Maybe not. The layouts are right there.
All right, so we've got pencils, the colors, and then we polish it out and finish it up with the letters. Making sure that one of the things I've tried to do with the letters is remain consistent on the text box as we go through the captions, maintaining the same Vigilance's character. We've got these burgundy boxes. If you've read the previous issues, she's having a conversation with a psychiatrist, which we saw in the other issue. These are her text boxes. But making sure that our letters are flowing around the way we want them to, so that they go. I don't want it to go across the character, but making sure that we're flowing, that the readers are flowing through the page and reading it correctly. And you can tell that once it all comes together, by the end of it, it looks like a comic page. Let's see here. Another example again. We went from this was the colored page. A lot of times what we'll do is
Did you discuss how you laid those letters out to actually add to the flow of the direction of the art?
Yeah, so I wanted it to to be, so you want to be very you don't want the reader to read certain things before they get to a certain part of the art. Sometimes you want them to look at that artwork before they actually read certain parts of the book and the page. So we start out here where she's asking questions. Vigilance is kind of answering the questions. So we flow through that. You get to where we get to the very kind of the intro of this page, setting up what they're talking about, and then you get that big impact of Vigilance, in this purple liquid. You can continue on into what you're reading, but my goal was to flow along that page and make sure that they look at everything that's on there, but really not interrupt just that impact we have in the artwork on this page, because this first page is very powerful. I mentioned before we had this page. This was the original colors that Veronica gave us. A lot of times what we'll do when we get the book finished, I like to actually print the pages out and go through those and look at them. And that's where we came back and said, you know, when we actually, the letters were done on top of this page as it is now with these colors, and then coming back and lowering that opacity, making it so it's, well, not the opacity, but lowering the saturation. So we can have that separation as we go through. But these are clearly those flashback pages. And that's one of the things that wasn't in the script, wasn't our original intent, but when you start looking at the pages chronologically and in order, you realize, you know, we got to make some additional changes and adjustments to what we have. Let's see here.
Help separate the timeline so you know that
Absolutely.
this isn't happening right now. It's something that has already gone by.
Absolutely. We had a lot going on in issue 3 of Vigilance where, you know, in the present, she's talking to someone about something that happened in the past, but that she's also not being completely forthcoming about everything that happened. So we've got to be able to capture that where we can, the reader can tell that she's holding back on some stuff, but still get what was actually happening, but also get what she's telling us, like, all at the same time. So we're trying to do a lot of different storytelling all at the same time. So, you know, yeah, capturing that with, you know, without putting words on the page to explain it, and capturing it with the color and tone and things like that we're changing. You know, that's the process we go through. Once we, you know, we read through it like 100 times and we make sure we think we've got everything right. We decide we're going to move it to production. We pass it on to Mike. Mike will go through it again, and then he hands things off and passes it over to operations director of operations at Shortview, Sean Mack. That's all that I have. Do you have anything else?
So
Any questions? I think we're good. Mike, I think we're done. Did you have anything else? All right.
Yeah. I'm going to roll into you. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to roll into showing some pages from the Zero event.
Okay. Okay.
I'm about to keep it going, Todd.
You're cool. I just want to break up in between so it's easier to edit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, your children brought things from me.
Did they?
Miles actually got that Batman that you read.
Did he?
He was like, I want this.
Zero links this switch. Alright.
Well, I mean, in my defense, I could say I forgot, but it's like, am I going to be
Yes.
That's like the benefit of being a
Alright.
Yeah.
You guys want to slide over here a little bit for? I'm gonna give an inside look at Zero event.
Sure.
All right.
I know, it's like fun. There we go.
All right. All right. So Zero event number 1 is written by Victor Dandridge and it is drawn by Mike Lancet. Zero event is going to explain or show you what the actual Zero event is. If you guys have been longtime collectors of FSK books, you know that we mention the Zero event and bring it up a lot. This is the story arc that Victor has brought and breathed life into, and 20 years later, here we are. We're getting to finally tell that story. So, and unlike Marvel and DC, when they say it's been 20 years in the making, this story literally has been 20 years in the making. This opening page, we're seeing a character that's only been mentioned and only seen once in our comic books. His name is Nemesis, and he is talking to a character. I'm not going to reveal any names about this character because I want all that to be a surprise or whatnot, but a very important and powerful character that Nemesis is speaking to. And if anybody has been collecting the Hot Shot books, you know Nemesis is the one that kills Justice. So we are actually going to see and experience these downfalls. I am so thoroughly and disgustingly happy with the way these pages came out with. Mike Lancet is a phenomenal storyteller, and putting him in partnership with Victor Dandridge on writing it, these two have just completely knocked this book out of the park. Nemesis is being wrapped up by our mysterious character and brought down to his knees. And I want you to understand, Justice was our big Superman type character before Vigilance came in the picture, and Nemesis is on par with Justice. So to be able to easily wrap this dude up and bring him down to his knees is not anything to laugh at. And you're going to be seeing a ton of new characters to this FSK verse that Victor and Mike are bringing to our table here. I'm just going to give you guys a peek at the first 5 pages here. This is an awesome panel. I absolutely love this panel. It speaks so much, even without just the text. And Danny Cooper's gonna be doing the letters, but just without the text, the communication between Nemesis and our mysterious character right here, you can tell they are up to absolutely no good.
Yeah, if I could interject here, editing these pages was a pleasure. Being able to contribute to something that Victor had written. But Mike Lansett is a fantastic storyteller and an artist, and it was a pleasure. It was very simple and very easy to edit his pages. Mike was very receptive of all feedback. Sometimes it can be a mix of the response that you get when you're editing someone's work, but Mike was fantastic, very receptive, and I think that we've been able to put something very special together with this specific issue. So it's been a pleasure working on this.
And then this is a double page spread. Good catch. This is a double page spread that Mike did. This is actually Vigilance Vigilance 1, before first appearance in Hot Shot, being looked over by doctors and scientists right now. This is like the inner workings of an EHD facility. So we're going to be seeing a whole new perspective of that freestyle comics world that we have not seen yet. I'm gonna give y'all one more double page spread. This is the last one I'm gonna show y'all. Let me make sure it's the one. Yes. When I read this page in the script, I had no idea how Mike Lansett was gonna draw it. But when I saw his layouts for it and he did the pencils for it, this was exactly like before I even saw it, I knew this is like exactly how this page should have been. This is another double page spread. And this is actually the moment in the book where the crap hits the fan and everything changes from this moment moving forward. It's just crazy. The detail in the background here with all the monitors, all the technology, all the people at the desk working. This foreground thing, this little tech thing in the foreground with the hoses and the pipes and our dude on the balcony looking off here. I mean, this looks like an action movie scene. Like they're on S.H.I.E.L.D., the helicarrier or something right now. But Zero Event is going to be 3 issues, and it's going to be fantastic. I know where Victor's taking it. We know what's going. Well, of course we are, So it's just a matter of we can't wait to get this in the public's hands and show you guys what this book can be, or what this book is going to be. It's going to answer a lot of questions, but it also is going to bring up a lot more questions. And Zero Event, if you have not picked up on it, is specifically the beginning for our Zero Event emergence. It's going to happen in Hot Shot 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So it's going to be crazy bananas, and you got a lot to look forward to from Freestyle Comics. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Oh, wait. Oh, that's Veronica doing, dude. Veronica's saying she can't wait to color these pages. Yes, she's going to go crazy on those. But so those are our panels. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for social media and everything. Thank you for Facebook people and you guys coming out. We got a little bit more time left on our event here. We have a silent auction going on right now where you can go over and check out the artwork and stuff over there. We have Allison over there. We have the Todd Files. We have Tessa. We have Prince. And, of course, comic books, prints, commissions, and good times always available. Vigilance is here. Come on down and get your picture taken with her. Come meet Veronica and Danny as we talk about comics and how they're put together and stuff like that. Or just come geek out with us, man. It's whatever. Like, we're down here having a good time. Big shout-out and thank you to Comic Town. I feel like I maybe make, like, because is this our official home?
We tried.
Okay, yeah, okay. I didn't want to overstep any boundaries. Like, I feel like this is our official home for FSK Day and things like that. So, thank you very much. Go ahead and close this out, and we are back to regular business now.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I need you to send me the link to those